Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to another video. So I bet you're wondering what I'm up to now that I don't have the bike. Well, I'm going to show you guys some things I've been into for most of my life. Some things are fairly new. Let's check it out. So for most of my life, adult life, childhood, all that, I've been into aquariums, and I've had them off and on, and I've always loved fish. I've gotten back into that, and we'll get into those aquariums in a minute. But first, I want to introduce y'all to something I've only been into for a few months, and those are my bearded dragons. This is Aurora. She's 8 months old. I'll get her out in a minute so you have a better idea of her size. She's an 8-month-old female beardy. I made the enclosure for her myself. And word of wisdom to anybody who might be thinking about making a cage for a reptile: don't use a styrofoam floor or a styrofoam ceiling without putting wood on top and sealing the wood, because no matter how much sealant you're going to put on this, you're not going to stop poop stains, and you can't get them out without using harsh chemicals that could be bad for her. So my other beardy is my male beardy named Zeus. He's got this beautiful red coloring. He's about 10 months old. And again, styrofoam and spray foam, really easy for the enclosure. The only problem is, as you can see, they tear up the edges of the styrofoam. They don't eat it, so don't worry about that, but it does make a little bit of a mess. And the enclosures are 4 foot long, 2 foot high, 2 foot deep. I feed these guys roaches 2 days a week. Big old roaches, like huge. We've actually recently started a roach colony here at the house because roaches are quite expensive. So yes, I'm raising baby roaches. And then the rest of the week they eat different greens and vegetables, spinach, things of that nature. Now, let me get Aurora out. I'm not going to get Zeus out. He's a bit more of a handful. And he's always ready to go and run and get into whatever he can. Yeah, I'm talking about you, big boy. So this is Aurora. Like I said, she's about 8 months old. She's fairly good size. She'll be about 26 inches when she's done growing, from the tip of her nose to the tip of her tail. She's an absolute baby doll. She just wants to sit on your chest. But after about 15 to 20 minutes, she'll want to get up and start exploring everything else around, which is typically not a bad idea. But you got to be careful, because if they can get under things like entertainment centers or cabinets or anything like that, under the couch, they will. And then you got to fight them to get out. So I've got the downstairs down here where I keep them pretty much dragon proofed, where there's not much they can get under. Isn't that right? You want to say hello? Let them see your pretty face. Say hi. Yeah. My first reptile, I did have a couple of turtles as a child. Won't do that again. Turtles stink, man. Turtles, they stink. These guys don't smell like a bed of roses, but if you keep up with the tank and you keep them good and clean, you give them a bath every few days or every week or so, they're not horrible. Ferrets stink a lot worse, but then again, ferrets are a member of the skunk family. Cats, in my opinion, stink worse than these guys do. Dogs, a lot of dogs smell worse than these guys do. So it's just a matter of upkeep with them, keeping them good and clean, happy and healthy, and they'll reward you with all the love they can give. Next up, we have one of my 4 aquariums. Just tropical fish, live plants. We've got my golden gourami, which is actually more copper. And then we've got basically a bunch of fancy minnows. I found out after I bought them that's really what they are. A couple of Cory cats, an albino Cory cat, and a couple of swordtails, some snails, a couple of algae eaters, some really fat little mollies, I think, up there. So that's tank number 1. And this tank, very little filtration. The only filter is this foam filter here, and it is very, very low flow. I change the water on this, never. That's right, I never change the water on this because, and you can do this too, if you guys want to see something a little more in depth on that, I can do it. It's really easy to have a fish tank that you never have to change the water on unless there's an issue. And it's live plants. If you plant live plants in your aquarium and then you do water changes for the first 2 months, after that, you don't ever have to do them again unless there's an issue with the tank or the water. I can go into more detail on that if you guys want me to at another time. But let's see the next tank. Now this tank has a little bit of an algae issue, but we're working on it. This is my 10-gallon beta tank. As you can see, there's my boy Blue. He loves my finger. He comes out all the time for my finger. This is yet another tank that I have very little filtration on. The same foam filters as what's in the other one, plus I have one of these little filters that blows the bubbles up, simply to add some aeration. Back in the back there, I don't think you can really see him very well. He's kind of behind this rock. Is a Hillstream loach. And they basically look like little stingrays, but they're freshwater. For the longest time I had him in here by himself trying to take care of the algae, and they do eat algae. That is what they eat, but they're not as efficient or effective as, say, a Plecostomus or another type of algae eater. So what I've done is, in the next tank I'll show you, I picked up some hitchhiker snails. I don't know what kind they are, but I picked them up when I bought a plant. So I took a couple of them out of there and put them in here, and believe it or not, I can see a huge difference in the tank since I did that 3 days ago. They are making a difference. Now the water in here is great. There's nothing wrong with the water. Everything is fine, but I have an algae growth issue. By adding the snails, we're going to get rid of the algae growth issue. And I do have to change the water in this tank a little more frequently than I do the other 2 freshwater tanks because I don't have as many plants. So there's not as much to add oxygen. And that's why you do water changes, is to add oxygen back to the water for your fish. I've only got 2 fish in here and 2 snails in here. It's not a big problem. They don't take a whole lot, but I've got to give them just enough to keep going. It's another reason why I have the bubbler, to help produce a little bit more oxygen in the tank. The bubbler itself doesn't do it, but when the bubbles break the surface of the water, then the water absorbs oxygen from the atmosphere and feeds it back into the system for our little fish friends. All right. So this is one of my absolute favorite tanks. This is my 55-gallon freshwater angelfish tank. You can see we have our little female. She's supposed to be a platinum and gold. And back there we have our little male, and they are a breeding couple. We don't have babies yet, but I don't think it'll be long when we will. They're doing the whole mating ritual dance with each other, and they're still pretty young, so they may not give us babies this year, but I have no doubt that they will eventually. There he is. He's absolutely gorgeous. Oh, spooked him. He doesn't like the camera. He's never seen it before. She's not scared of it at all, though. She's like, feed me. They are some beautiful fish. I want to get 2 more angels. I want to get 2 black angels, a male and a female, also a breeding pair. The problem is, when you get these are, I can't remember what they call them right now, but they're the biggest breed of angelfish, freshwater. They get very large, and when they are in breeding mode, they get very territorial. The other fish that are in here, they've already started picking them off 1 or 2 at a time. I've got some little Mickey Mouse mollies. If you look real close, you can see the Mickey Mouse on the tail there. Can't really see it real clear. There it is. Kind of cute. And then, of course, we have our Pleco. He's sitting on our Millennium Falcon at the moment. Sorry, I got a text there. Over there we have an AT-AT or an AT-AT. I don't understand calling it an AT-AT. Somebody explain that to me. Why is it not just an AT-AT? Am I just too old? Then we have a Vader helmet and a Death Star. Now, let me warn you guys on the Vader helmet and the Death Star. If you guys are interested in putting those in your aquariums, I would recommend you not. You can see the paint flaking off of those. And it's really very annoying that that happened. They weren't super expensive, but I expect that when I buy a decor for my tank, it's not going to just peel the paint off of it in a month. Well, I guess I've had them probably 2.5 months, but still, the paint should not be peeling off. So this is one of my absolute favorite tanks. I've got snails in here. As you can see, I've got the Pleco. I did have 3 Plecos in here, but 2 of them died mysteriously. The one is keeping up just fine. There's another snail over there. I've got another golden snail like that somewhere in here. And then I've got the 2 little hitchhiker snails that just showed up one day after buying some plants. And this is another one of those tanks where I don't have to do water changes. The plants... Oh, there's a little tiny baby snail right there. I don't know if y'all can see it. The plants and the snails, there's their little maiden dance, take care of the tank extremely well. They keep everything clean, and I haven't had to do a water change in this since about 2 weeks in. That's another trick. If you're going to do a tank with no water changes, it's got to have lots of plants. It's got to have lots of snails, algae-eating critters, and you got to do a water change at about 2 weeks and about a month until your plants are big enough to provide everything your tank needs. Okay, it's not impossible. Again, on this one, I have 2 of the foam filters, and then I have 2 bubble lines. I've got one running under this log. I think that gives a really cool effect. And the female bubblefish, or the female angelfish, loves it. We call her Bubbles because she likes to swim through the bubbles. And then the other one over there is running out of the top of Vader's helmet. So it's not hard to do a tank that you don't have to clean constantly. You just have to plant it with live stuff. And you have to keep an eye on the parameters to make sure everything's still in check. If something gets out of whack, you will have to do water changes. That's why we've got the big jugs of water over here, just in case. All right, we're gonna move on to the last tank. And now my favorite tank so far, my newest tank. This is my new saltwater tank. As you can see, I've aquascaped it with some live rock, although it wasn't live rock. This is a piece of actual live rock. It's got all the nutrition and bacteria and whatnot from an active tank. It has been kept by my the man at my local fish store that I use. He's helping me set all of this up and get all of this ready. And right now, I'm about to put the first fish for this tank in the tank. So I want y'all to see that. He is a beautiful little firefish. I've had him acclimating now for a little while. There you go, buddy. Welcome home. He's been acclimating for a little over a half an hour. So yeah, there's my saltwater tank. I'm gonna build this out, fill it with fish, and share all that with you guys. I hope you enjoyed as much as I think I will. Till next time, keep the shiny side up.